Good evening. Welcome to this channel about past lives and reincarnation. So I'll answer questions from viewers. First, about my last video. A lot of great comments and questions about that subject. For those who didn't see it, it's about this spirit that contacted me some time ago. And he was from the Lupi galaxy, apparently, right? And I never asked him about Lupi. I regret this. I wanted to ask him this. You know, what's it like on Lupi? I never asked him. And he didn't say anything. He just said that this was his place. I got the picture that this was his favorite place. That's where he went if he wanted to live a life. But he was not stuck there, you know. Apparently, because he came here to see me, right? So anyway, he was talking about the awakening on Earth. And I also wish that I asked him more about it, but I didn't. But he was basically very, very optimistic. Much more optimistic than I am. It's a huge thing that is going on, basically. And he said that the bad stuff needs to be there. It's like all this insanity. He said it needs to come up to the surface and be dealt with. All these lies has been keeping people in place. People are in general in a very bad shape. And in order for them to rise up, all this insanity need to be dealt with. It can be a quick process, but there's so much of it. This is me talking. That's not what he said. Right. So that's basically what he said. Now, I want to stress this. We were like equals, this guy and I. It was not like he was talking down to me, you know, telling me things. It was like a friend. And, you know, if I disagreed with him, I could just tell him. No problem. So, but he was in a good shape, very good shape. Because it was so easy to understand him. His communication was so clear. It was amazing. Yeah, I think he will come back to see me again. I hope so. I will remember to ask him questions about Lupi. Right? He also gave me some advice, right? I didn't mention this in the last video. He advised me to have fun. Pretty interesting. Good piece of advice, don't you think? Enjoy your life. Have fun. Whatever you do, have fun. He really stressed this. And I liked this advice, of course. And I've been thinking about it. Ever since. You know, I have a good life, but you know, you make choices, right? Should I go there or there? Should I do this or this or that? And you make sure that you have fun with it. You know, you pick the stuff that is more enjoyable, basically. I've been sort of doing this for quite some time, but it was good to hear this advice. And you know, it makes sense, doesn't it? You look back at your life, you want it to be a good life, right? Yeah, I had some fun, you know. You don't want to look back and think, well, that was boring, or that was a struggle. I didn't make enough money, you know. It was a misery. You want it to be fun, right? And I think it's a pretty deep advice too, actually. Even though it's so simple, isn't it? I mean, what's the reason for living? You know? Makes me think, really. And then he gave me one piece of information that I didn't share with you in my last video. He told me when I was going to die. Yeah, I was very surprised about this. He told me, you will live until you're 84, he said. And again, I didn't ask him how he knew. I wish I did, but I didn't. Or if he knew even, you know. What was he basing this information on? I didn't ask him. Now, I didn't trust him on this. I thought it was interesting, though. I was okay with it, too. 84, yeah, that's fine. 84, that's the age when you start to struggle, I think, with your body, maybe. So I thought it was pretty good. Now, I want to think that I decide this myself. Maybe he picked it up from me, I don't know. But he just told me this. Right, if he comes back, I will ask him about this, of course. And about Lupi, right? I want to remember this. All right, I will also answer one question today. It's this one. Would you recommend taking... sorry, I take it again. Would you recommend talking to dead family and friends for people who've never heard spirits before? How would you start to go about it? That's a very good question. I can tell you about myself. You know, I never wanted to speak to dead people. This was not an interest of mine. The opposite, I would say. You know, it just happened. You know, I was working on myself. I wanted to be more happy. I wanted to know who I was. And I wanted to be more sort of healthy, spiritually, you know. So I started working on myself quite early. Things like honesty, for instance. That was one of the big things for me. Now, I wanted to be more honest to myself and to others. And this became a thing for me, you know. I saw that there were levels of honesty, you know. I'm this honest now, I can be even more honest about things and what I see, and, you know. That was one thing. And of course, my contact with past lives was very important to me. Dealing with things that I have done in my past lives. This was the key for me, actually. The bad stuff that I did in my past lives. I wanted to know about them. I wanted to deal with them, take responsibility for them. So I've been doing this. So I suppose I reached this condition where I was able to hear spirits. But it just happened. It was a result of my condition. Which is basically being able to be quiet. Yeah. You know, to have no thoughts. To know who you are. And know when you're thinking, and stop creating thoughts at will. That kind of condition I'm talking about. No, Eckhart Tolle, I think he's brilliant. I started listening to him very late, you know, after my own development, but I listened to him a lot. And he confirmed a lot of things that I found to be the truth. See? Now I think he knows what he's talking about, this guy, Eckhart Tolle. And he's talking a lot about this condition. He's got a different definition for it. I don't remember what he says about it, but he's got some very good advice on this subject, on how to reach that condition. So I strongly recommend Eckhart Tolle. And Lao Tzu, yeah, the old philosopher, brilliant stuff. You know. That's right. So how would you start to go about it? Yes. Now, I think we have some sort of filter. You know, we are not able to experience things that would destroy us. You know, I strongly believe this. We sort of protect ourselves, and you know, talking to spirits. If you don't know what you're doing, and you can't see the difference between you and the spirit, you could end up in some trouble, actually. Well, that's my experience. You need to be able to do it, basically, and know what is going on, see? Because there's some great stuff that you will hear, and there's some terrible stuff that you will hear. I know mediums that you see on TV, right? They have, I think they have a strategy, they have some method, technique, where they sort of block out everything bad. I don't have this technique, apparently, because I get the bad stuff too. But they have some technique. Maybe you can learn this, you know. Right. But I think it's good to explore this area, because it will help you, you know, when you start to realize that there's a difference between you and that world, that part of the universe, with the spirits. You start to see the difference. It will help you, of course. It's good to explore. Right, this was a long video, I think. Right, I wish you well, and see you soon. Be good.